Hello, I'm Bruce Sawalski, author of Canadian Wilderness Survival and Chief Instructor of the Boreal Wilderness Institute, a small outdoor education company based in Edmonton, Alberta, and specializing in teaching practical survival, navigation, and wildlife awareness skills to those who travel and work in the wilderness of Canada. Today, I'm going to talk to you about free survival advice and the dangers of giving it out or taking it. Free survival advice. Well, here is my list of free survival advice. Number 1, don't let your clothes catch on fire. Number 2, don't eat yellow snow. Number 3, don't party naked outside in winter. And lastly, number 4, don't put your hand in the wolverine's mouth. So there is your free advice. You wanted some. That's why you started watching this video, right? Well, you know, Bruce, that list you just gave us is, well, crap. Yes, certainly I agree. It is crap. But that's what you generally get or deserve for free. What do you mean? Like, all information should be free, right? Hey, it can't really be hard work to research, test, synthesize, and properly organize survival training so it actually works and ensures safety of the participants when we're out in the field. Because I just saw this YouTube video done by some YouTube star with tens of thousands of more followers than you. Tell me I can survive by melting snow he pushed down with his hand into an empty pot on a fire, or some other equally poorly practiced or understood skill, and that he made seem so easy, and I was told would work just like I saw in the video when you actually get stranded. This fluff is so prevalent, it actually overshadows real training when it makes its rare appearance on YouTube or the web. Good contact actually drifts into the background and is often lost or ignored. So, if you want to get some advice on survival, you need to really ask yourself, who are you getting that advice from? And why you need to ignore or listen to it. Realistically, there are 4 levels or occupations in this profession who can and will give you survival advice. 1, professional instructors. 2, amateurs or part-time instructors. 3, celebrity fluff or wannabe instructors. And lastly, students. Students. As a student, you are still learning about the profession and the skills you need to learn. Many students help out as part of their learning process, but they are not yet complete in that part of their journey. That's how we learn, by practice and trial and error. You have to go out and do it. Remember that part of learning to be an instructor is by actually taking training in method of instruction and ensuring that you are critiqued on your teaching methods and abilities to instruct. I learned my methods of instruction from 3 distinct sources: the Canadian Army, Paddy College, and the University of Alberta as a teaching assistant on numerous outdoor education courses. Having 3 distinct sources for this training was fantastic, as it meant I really improved how I taught both individuals and groups. I learned and continue to learn from dozens of different sources and from my fellow instructors on a near daily basis. Students are not instructors yet, and some will choose to keep learning skills and never choose to become an instructor, which is all right. Not everybody that's good at a subject needs to become a teacher. They can give out advice, but it is based on their limited knowledge, situations they learned in, and overall experience. Celebrity fluff or wannabe instructor. Let's face it, these guys are very common today, and for a lot of reasons. Often they figure they can get ahead or avoid the hard work of learning the profession by appearing on survival TV and or creating a YouTube content. That sort of almost makes sense. until you work out the unintended consequences of their actions. These celebrity instructors can, over time, actually learn some skills. But their appearances on TV or video may make them stars. It does not make them good as instructors. Being an instructor requires other skills beyond public speaking and the actual survival skills you are showing. Let's take Les Stroud as an example. Because Ray Mears and Cody Lundin are actual professional survival instructors who are also celebrities or TV stars. Morris Kochanski, my mentor, is a professional survival instructor, but is really only a celebrity in the world of bushcraft and survival instructors and the bushcraft community. Morris gets some recognition for his many contributions to advancing the science of survival, but not nearly as much as his many celebrated students. Les is a professional musician, professional filmmaker, and producer. He is not a professional survival instructor. He is an amateur. He is also a gifted student of wilderness living. And over many years in the bush, he has developed many excellent skills, most of which he was smart enough to learn from real professional survival instructors. He is also a professional public speaker and presenter. He does a very good job of presenting what he knows. And if you listen closely and skip the TV hype or crap about starving to death in a week, you can learn some skills from him. Therefore, he is an instructor, just an amateur one. Most of the rest of the celebrity instructors can be broken down into two groups: the dangerous and the other real professional instructors. The dangerous get ahead using hype and often disingenuous filmmaking techniques to create an illusion of danger and, sadly, often skill and competency. Some cover themselves in myth, whether claiming to have discovered skills, learned from unknown elders, padding their resumes, or taking advantage of the general public's ignorance of what bushcraft and survival skills are actually taught or practiced in the militaries of the Western world. This endangers students and often forces students and younger professionals to attempt to follow in their wake, creating more dangerous and ill-conceived content and instructional techniques. Entire schools now have been formed to follow in the wake of this unprofessional instruction. Worse, some of these clowns are now writing books and claiming they are actually professional instructors. Eventually, it will sadly become mainstream to believe this crap. What about the Fluff or Wannabe instructors? Well, some are very well-meaning. They want to make a living by teaching, but do not have enough knowledge to differentiate between what you know and what you are required to teach a particular group of students at this point in time on a particular course. This may mean they may attempt to teach their students everything they know, but do some of it poorly or too quickly to allow learning to occur. Part of what you learn as you become more proficient is that an understanding of that. There are tons of skills you learn over the years, which you do not teach. For me, I chose to stop teaching many of those skills for financial reasons, i.e., I made no money teaching it, or it cost me more money to acquire and maintain the equipment needed than I made teaching it. In some cases, I just felt that I was not truly competent teaching it, and I left it to other more talented individuals to teach those specific skills. Anyone who feels that they can teach any skill they know forgot about the old iceberg principle. The more knowledge you have, the more you know is below the water. and must be taking a very simplistic look at outdoor skills, or do not mind teaching a skill without doing the proper research into the what, why, and how of that skill, since that takes reading, asking, time, and practice, and you only have so much of that. Some are just filling space on a YouTube channel or course schedule. They need content, and anything they can cobble together is better than nothing. That's how you game the system or make the algorithm work. Over time, we all learn, assuming we survive the process physically, mentally, and financially. One of the hardest parts of writing my first book, Canadian Wilderness Survival, was making a decision of what to leave out or not put into that book. Running a business can be tough. It's way more than just learning the skills you want to teach people. It includes marketing, administration, accounting, which I hate, public speaking, methods of instruction, curriculum construction, and understanding the real economics of how to run a business and keep it from going year after year. That last part is the real hard lesson to learn. We all start our careers with ideas and dreams, and some just aren't viable, or are not viable until your client's base is bigger. A few of our ideas will be plain and simply wrong because too few individuals want to pay to learn a skill in that way or go to the woods for that long. Fluff instructors are of no value. Learn more skills and then start instructing. Wannabe instructors should really become amateur or part-time instructors by looking at what and where they can gain that skills that they are really required before they hang up a shingle. And when they are ready, then become an amateur, part-time, or professional instructor. Celebrity instructors are just part of our world. We just need to remember what and why they are in the public view and not worship them for what you see them do on TV. Amateur or part-time instructors. The word amateur comes from the French word amateur, lover of, and is generally considered a person who pursues a particular activity or field of study independently from their source of income. Historically, the amateur was considered to be the ideal balance between pure intent, open mind, and the interest or passion for a subject. I like this one best. It's a passion that you happen to do part-time. Amateurism can be seen in a negative light, since amateurs often do not have formal training. Some amateurs' work may be considered subpar. In North America, that negative idea of professional versus amateur is much more prevalent than in continental Europe. Once, many years ago, I was a commercial music student at a local college. I understand you would not believe that now. And during the Edmonton Jazz Festival, I went, as many young musicians did, to every festival workshop. The one that still resonates in my mind was with a saxophone player I really looked up to and hoped to emulate, Phil Woods. He was a true professional musician, and at the time, making most of his money as a session musician in New York City, playing on jazz, pop, and rock records, and various other commercial music gigs. i.e., he actually made a living playing mostly for the recording industry, not performing on stage. One of his most famous sessions was the alto saxophone solo in Billy Joel's Just the Way You Are, which simply was just another day at the recording studio. So that afternoon, as he was playing, talking about jazz and the music industry in general to this group of young musicians who thought they were really going to be big as professional musicians, He explained that there really were very few successful professional musicians anywhere, but that in North America, everyone wanted to be and call themselves one, even those who really did not make very much of their income as musicians. Well, in continental Europe, they have a way better idea of the fact that only a very limited number of people can actually make a living as professional musicians. In Europe, they do not look down on an amateur musician who can be very, very good. They just make their living doing something else 40 hours a week, and therefore do not need to make their living as musicians and can instead concentrate on making great music. We were all in shock at being told the truth, that most of us were not going to make it, and many of us should be aiming to be great amateurs instead. I should have taken that to heart immediately, and I might still be playing my saxophone. In the world of outdoor education and survival instruction, most should take Phil Wood's advice. And remember, he had no problem filling his band with these gifted amateurs when he went on tour in Europe. Our students deserve to get a real picture of how and when they can make an actual living in the world of outdoor education. Sadly, most of us had to learn from experience, which does teach best. In this century, the distinction between amateur and professional has become increasingly blurred, especially in the world of survival, bushcraft, and wilderness living instruction in Canada. We really should follow the continental European example and have lots of these individuals and be proud of what they bring into the community as a whole. Treat them as real instructors, and remember, they will and can innovate, improve, and better the craft. Innovation and improving how and what we teach is an ongoing activity, and everyone who practices bushcraft and survival skills is part of that, not just one particular hero. Being a part-time, or as the Europeans say, amateur instructor is not an insult. It just means that you are taking a realistic approach to making a living in this country. In the end, this may be much better for your mental health, family security, and eventual retirement plans. This assumes, of course, that your retirement plan is not to teach until you die. The advice you receive from these gifted amateur or part-time instructors is worth listening to. In reality, most of the bushcraft and survival instructors are in this category and should be very proud of their achievements, instead of hiding them or their true status as non-professional instructors. Professional instructor. The Oxford Dictionary says that it is a person engaged or qualified in a profession, engaged in a specific activity as one main paid occupation rather than as an amateur. A person competent or skilled in a particular activity. I like this one best, since really only 4 or 5 of us in Canada really work full-time in this profession and actually make a living at it. Certainly in North America, as in other cultures, the term is used as a shorthand to describe a particular social stratum of well-educated workers who enjoy considerable work autonomy and who are commonly engaged in creative and intellectually challenging work, versus tradespeople who work with their hands and are therefore not professional workers. A related distinction in this way of thinking would be that a professional does mainly mental work as opposed to engaging in physical work. Now, this is sadly some of the baggage we have inherited from the British and its class-conscious society. As an idea, it never truly existed in any profession beyond a few mostly unproductive ones. The modern world has merged most of these professions together. This idea is also one that I find personally insulting, since in the bush we all do both, and anyone who pushes the science of survival is engaging in intellectual, challenging work. Let's face it, outdoor education is often considered a lesser profession, mostly because we have few standards. Anyone can simply claim expertise in it, often without very much real expertise beyond a few years in some army, a dozen camping trips, or a course or two. Then, simply hang up a shingle, open a survival school, and poof, hey, I'm a survival expert. We really can only have a few professional instructors, mostly because as a society in Canada and the United States, we have decided we do not want to pay for anything outdoor related except equipment. So most hang up their shingles with the best of intentions. And in a few years, they simply quit, go bankrupt, or fade away because they are unwilling to be labeled as an amateur or part-time instructor. Some real advice. So I promised you some real survival advice. And since I am one of the few actual professional survival instructors in Canada, and since you made it this far into this video, you deserve a bit of real advice. So here it is. Number 1, learn the survival skills you need to survive first, so you can survive while stranded. Then learn them well enough so you can help others before you begin to learn a magical and entertaining skill like bow drilling. It's easy to entertain a crowd, but that's not teaching the bushcraft or survival skills students need to survive while stranded in the Canadian wilderness. By the time those students really need those skills, they will understand why you did not teach those skills first. 2, take actual classroom and field training from a professional instructor or a talented amateur instructor. Number 3, take training from at least 2 or preferably 3 different organizations and lead or chief instructors. No organization exists in the world of bushcraft or survival, even the Boreal Wilderness Institute, that knows and can teach you everything. It's a myth, and a dangerous one at that. The idea of myth-making has led to much of the problems young instructors face when getting established, and a real cycle of silliness that is sometimes almost laughable. You need to be exposed to numerous curriculums, philosophies, and instructional styles if you want to succeed. Then synthesize them together to make them your own. That's what Morse Kochanski did. Don't get lost in the myth. Remember that human cloning is illegal in Canada, so should the need to clone any survival school. Number 4, remember you still need the navigation, wilderness first aid, and wilderness travel skills, even if you're teaching only bushcraft. If you want to be a professional, then become a professional outdoor educator and teach bushcraft or survival. 5, don't lie to your students about your resume or what skills you're actually going to teach them. Your peers will consider you a twit and not associate with you, and your students will happily tell others to avoid your school. 6, the day will come when you need to tell a student or group of students that you cannot teach them something because they are not ready to learn those skills. The weather or conditions may be too dangerous, or that you will not be teaching them because it is dangerous or illegal. That's part of learning to be a professional and having a realistic and safe approach to teaching. Yes, you may lose some money in the short term, but it is always better than having that mistake coming back and biting you in the ass later. It is also damage your reputation and over the long run. Number 7, never stop learning. At the point you are so much of an expert that you have stopped learning, you are either dead or a dinosaur and have become a danger to the outdoor education community in general. Participate and share your skills in that community and learn from the others around you. That's why we have gatherings. Well, here is my 7 pieces of real professional survival advice. If you want advice on how to actually survive while stranded in the Canadian wilderness, I can give you that too. Number 1, I wrote Canadian Wilderness Survival, a 450-page, full-color, glossy, modern wilderness survival manual with over 500 pictures. So you could actually learn these survival skills by reading and seeing. There really is no other book like it in Canada, and all you need to do is read it. 2, I have a monthly podcast, the Canadian Outdoor Survival Podcast, and for that all you need to do is subscribe and listen. Number 3, I teach year-round, based out of Edmonton in the classroom that I'm filming this video in, with regularly scheduled classes, and throughout Canada as a contract instructor. For that, all you need to do is register, come out, and take real professional survival training, or invite me out to your region to teach your group. Number 4, I speak throughout Canada to various groups, organizations, conferences, and companies. For that, all you need to do is invite me out or push somebody else to do the same. Number 5, just for a lark, you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, watch a few videos, or go to boreal.net and read a few of my many articles. And then follow me on Twitter or Facebook. But understand, I am not a YouTube star. Just for the last 25 years, I have actually been a professional survival instructor. I hope you actually learned something from my little rant about asking for and getting free survival advice. Remember though, there is no free lunch, except when it contains what we really should not eat. And the same wisdom should be considered when listening to any free survival advice, even this rant.